The sky seems to be trying to tell us something when these strange signs keep showing up one after another, coming so fast that humanity doesn't even have time to look away anymore. Lights tear through black clouds, giant shapes shoot silently across the sky, and darkness moves in places where there should only be stars. Everything is happening too quick, too real, as if time itself is being shortened with every breath. From metal objects going straight through mountains, shadowy figures lingering in the night, people like forms flying against the wind, to sky dragons appearing in the middle of storms, beams of light shooting straight up into the clouds, fake heavenly bodies, groups of orbs coming down, clouds forming strange shapes, and winged lights descending. These 10 phenomena aren't standing alone. They're linking together into one heavy chain, echoing warnings that were written down a very long time ago. The Bible talked about signs in the sky before the last days, and now the question isn't whether they exist or not. The real question is, what are we going to do when the sky finally starts to speak? We're seeing it, but are we ready to listen? Or are we still going to turn our faces away while time refuses to stand still? If there's still a little faith left in your heart, feel free to leave a prayer down below, just as a quiet way of saying your soul is still awake. And the rest of the story, maybe it's waiting to unfold just ahead. Let's get started right now. 1. Mysterious metal arrowheads tear through the Alai sky. What happens when the sky stops being a quiet place and turns into a battlefield for movements beyond human understanding? That moment didn't come from movies or imagination. It showed up suddenly in a remote mountain wilderness where we always thought only wind and snow ruled. The news spread so fast it made people's breathing quicken, because one thing felt very clear: this wasn't something you could just ignore. It happened in the Alai range of Kyrgyzstan, a rugged mountain area that rises close to 18,000 feet above sea level, where hardly anyone ever sets foot. There, 3 sharp-pointed metal objects suddenly ripped across the sky, streaking over the peaks at a speed that froze every natural reflex. In that split second, the people recording the video only had time to notice the blinding reflections sweeping through the air, cold, silent, and downright eerie. The lead object had a clear arrowhead shape, roughly 100 feet long. The other 2 followed right behind in perfect formation, spaced about 50 feet apart like they were programmed that way. Their shiny metal surfaces mirrored the sunlight like glass, leaving no smoke trail, no sound, no sign of any normal engine. They were estimated to be going 500 miles an hour as they cut through the clouds, making regular ideas about aerodynamics feel meaningless. The sight forced us to admit there are things operating way outside what humans can explain. Locals who know the area immediately thought of Shaitan Mazar, a spot about 50 miles away that's had past reports of strange metal pieces collected there. This chain of events makes the whole picture feel much heavier, not just one lone flash in the sky anymore. The Bible once spoke of signs like this in Revelation 12:3. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads 7 diadems. That image echoes like a quiet suggestion, not forced, but enough to plant a seed of unease. Some skeptics say it might be a military test, but that idea falls apart fast. No radar signals, no noise, no flight path that matches any known drone or aircraft. Videos coming from several different independent angles make the "it's just an illusion" explanation hard to hold up. When you put this next to Matthew 24-30, then will appear in heaven the sign of the Son of Man, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. The feeling that there's a hidden message behind it all gets even stronger. Those 3 objects didn't just fly over the mountains. They tore through the fragile sense of safety people still cling to. If they show up again, is it just a random repeat, or the opening chapter of something much bigger coming from above? The answer still hangs in the air, and that very emptiness is pulling us forward into the next part of the story. 2. Strange objects like ghosts hiding in the clouds, streaking across the sky. The night in Savannah wasn't quiet like usual. There were moments that sent chills down your spine even though there wasn't any wind at all. Up in that coastal sky, a faint shadow suddenly appeared, then faded away, leaving behind this creepy feeling of being watched, with no idea why. The long silence only made the uneasiness grow stronger, as if the darkness was hiding something it didn't want named. It happened in Savannah, Georgia, about 5 miles from Hunter Army Airfield, an area that's had hundreds of reports of strange things in the sky over the years. On the same night, at the exact same spot, 2 different shapes took turns drifting around then disappearing. A lot of folks only managed to catch shaky video of it. This familiar coastal town suddenly turned into a stage for something that doesn't belong in everyday life. The first shape was hazy like mist, constantly changing form and spreading out to nearly 200 feet with no clear edges. A few hours later, another one showed up in the very same place, this time clearer, giving off a faint flashing light along with a low, steady humming sound that went on and on. No strong wind, no fog, no weird weather, yet the sky seemed to be breathing in its own rhythm, making it hard to look away from the screen. In the middle of all this, plenty of people brought up Luke 21:25. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. Those words rang out like a warning, not to explain the shapes or what they really were, but to point out that feeling of chaos slowly spreading from the sky down to the ground, exactly like what Savannah is going through right now. On the forums, people online tried to look at it more neutrally. Some said it was a rare atmospheric thing. Others leaned towards secret test aircraft. A few mentioned civilian drones with signal problems. But reports from the National UFO Reporting Center in Georgia say the data doesn't match any known drones or weather events, and the sound recorded doesn't line up with any regular vehicle either. Revelation 16:13 says, "I saw 3 unclean spirits that looked like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet." This isn't describing those sky shadows directly. It's more like a warning bell that certain things keep showing up, creeping in and stirring trouble before something much bigger happens. Those 2 appearances were enough to leave a long-lasting shiver running through this small coastal city. If the sky over Savannah gets torn open by those shadowy shapes again, is it just some strange coincidence, or the opening act for a deeper darkness moving closer? The question still hangs there, and the silence afterward, that's the scariest part of all. 3. Mysterious upright dark figure tears through Monterey sky, defying gravity. A dark, human-shaped figure suddenly streaks through the Monterey Mountains, standing perfectly straight up in the air like gravity just got switched off. When the video started spreading, a lot of people had to stop for a second and wonder, what in the world just flew across the sky? It happened in Monterey, Mexico, in the Sierra Madre Oriental Mountains, about 4,000 feet high, a place long tied to old stories about brujas, the witches from local folklore. This area is only around 150 miles from the Texas border, and it's been mentioned more than once in strange reports from local police and folks living near the mountains. In the video, the dark figure looks human, roughly 10 feet tall, moving steady at about 100 miles an hour. No wings, no engine, no wires, no gear holding it up, and most striking of all, it's flying completely upright, straight up and down. Clear day, good view. The thing shows up sharp against the bright clouds, not some blurry shadow or light streak. Revelation 9:7 says, "The locusts looked like horses prepared for battle. On their heads, they wore something like crowns of gold, and their faces were like human faces." When you see that next to this upright, flying, human-like figure, it's hard not to make the connection. Beings that look like people, but don't belong to the normal world we know. Lots of people ask if it could just be an optical illusion or some light playing tricks on the eyes, but the video was taken from different angles, in broad daylight, with calm weather. Independent checks done in Mexico, including files kept by the Unusual Aerial Phenomena Research Community, show it doesn't fit any bird, drone, or CGI trick. Isaiah 14:29 reads, "Do not rejoice, all you Philistines, that the rod that struck you is broken. From the serpent's root will come a viper, and its fruit will be a flying serpent." That flying serpent picture in the Bible has long been seen as a sign of trouble that keeps coming, when something you thought was done gives birth to a new danger you never expected. When old folklore suddenly shows up in our modern sky, the question isn't really whether to believe it anymore. It's about what is slowly being revealed. If that dark figure didn't just zip by and vanish, but actually came down somewhere in those mountains, was it only a one-time thing, or the beginning of many more shadows waiting to step out? 4. The sky over Los Angeles reveals an ancient secret, a legendary creature twisting across the clouds. That night's storm wasn't like any storm on record. Lightning ripped through the Los Angeles sky, and in the split second the flash exploded, a huge shape appeared among the swirling clouds. It had an unusually long, curving body that moved like a living thing. The whole city went dead quiet as the same question hit everyone at once. What in the world was hiding inside that storm? The sighting happened over the Los Angeles area in California, where thunderstorms come now and then but almost never get as fierce as that night. History does mention reports of sky serpents in Bonham, Texas, about 1,200 miles away, plus lots of old legends about dragons connected to storms and judgment in ancient cultures. As the lightning kept flashing, the shape became very clear. A body, maybe 300 feet long, a raised neck, skin that looked like scales catching the light, bending and moving with each thick cloud bank. This wasn't just a long cloud streak or a trick of the light. The details showed up again and again in different shots, holding the same shape for several seconds straight. Revelation 12:9 says, "The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels were hurled down with him." Seeing a dragon appear in a stormy sky made a lot of folks think right away of the Bible's picture of dark powers. Right in the middle of the rain and thunder, an uneasy feeling spread, not just some vague fear, but because the image felt strangely familiar. If it was only clouds, why did it have such a clear, solid shape? And if it wasn't clouds, then what exactly was being shown right there, in the middle of a big modern city? Joel 2:30 says, "I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke, lightning, black clouds," and this strange shape, all appearing together in one scene, made many people wonder what these sky signs might mean at a time like this. Online, opinions split fast. Some said it's just a rare cloud formation lit up by lightning. Others pointed back to centuries-old records of flying serpents and sky dragons. Weather experts in California say there's no way a real creature was up there, but they also admit the shape doesn't quite match normal clouds. With all these different views flying around, here's the question for anyone watching. Are you seeing a trick of nature, or a message being revealed at the exact moment most people would never expect? The Bible says many times that hidden things will be shown when the right time comes. If that creature only appeared during the storm and then vanished, maybe this was just the first sign. And if the sky is still hiding even more, then the next time lightning flashes, will it only be clouds or something coming closer? 5. Dark entity drifting from Texas to Iraq, challenging every law of science. In just a short time, the same pitch-black shape appeared one after another in the sky, at places thousands of miles apart. Have you ever wondered why one nameless shadow could make the whole world hold its breath over just a few short videos? The first sightings came from the skies over Texas, then Oklahoma, and suddenly it showed up again in Baghdad and Ankara, as if distance and borders don't exist. The gaps between these locations stretch across several time zones, far beyond what any known vehicle or creature could cover. The timing lines up so closely that space itself seems to be bent, leaving behind a heavy, hard-to-explain feeling. People describe the shape as long and sinuous, about 500 feet, constantly twisting and curling like a living ribbon of shadow. Its movement doesn't follow any set path, sometimes moving painfully slow, other times speeding up out of nowhere. Nothing like a bird, drone, or airplane. The really troubling part is how consistent it is. The same shape, almost identical, appearing in completely unrelated places. Matthew 24-29 says, "Right after those terrible days, the sun will go dark, the moon won't give light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken." This black shadow hanging in the air, blocking the light, makes many people think of those heavenly signs we're told not to ignore. The uneasy feeling grows stronger because these appearances make no sound, leave no physical trace, just an empty sky after they're gone. That silence creates a deep, heavy void, as if something passed right over humanity without asking permission or giving any explanation. Acts 2:19 says, "I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below, blood, fire, and columns of smoke." These dark shapes gliding across the sky, appearing amid natural upheavals and global unrest, make it hard for many not to wonder about the deeper meaning behind these signs. When the black shadow stops being a one-time thing and turns into a series of appearances across continents, belief in coincidence starts to crumble. This isn't just a story about something in the sky. It's a reminder that humans don't control everything happening around us. If these dark shadows don't stop, how much longer will the sky stay bright? And while we're waiting for answers, maybe the best thing we can do is quiet down, turn our hearts towards something higher. If you're feeling uneasy, leave a prayer in the comments, not to explain this phenomenon, but to help keep the light from going out inside your own mind. 6. Green light pillars shooting straight up to the sky. Sign or illusion? It all started with a question. No explosion, no wild shaking, just a blinding green beam suddenly standing straight up from the ground to the high clouds, frozen in place like a column of energy stuck in the sky. That moment made a lot of people freeze, because it felt strangely familiar, like something about this had been mentioned somewhere a long time ago. No clear source has been confirmed. Some videos show the beam appearing at night, others caught it at dusk when the clouds were low and the surrounding light was fading. That uncertainty creates a chilly feeling, as if the sky is hiding something behind its quiet clouds. The green beam is estimated to be about 1,000 feet tall, perfectly steady. No shaking, no sound, no obvious heat. It doesn't sweep or move, it just stands there like a vertical pillar, more like controlled technology than a natural event. You can imagine how it feels to see a pillar of light like that, sitting motionless for minutes in the air, with no explanation at all. Joel 2:30 says, "I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke." The word pillars in the Bible makes many people connect the dots, because a green light beam standing straight in the sky looks too similar to ignore, even though what it really is remains a big question mark. Concern grew when some folks linked this to warnings in Revelation. Revelation 13:13 says, "It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people." Whether a pillar of light rises from the ground to the sky or comes down from above, it carries the image of power being shown off to amaze and mislead. On the other hand, some social media experts look at it through a scientific lens. They think it could be converging light from a powerful laser, a directed energy test, or a rare reflection effect between a ground light source and low clouds. These ideas come from similar light pillars that have appeared before in San Francisco and parts of Texas. The real difference is in how people explain it. Science tries to fit the beam into a normal chain of cause and effect, while the Bible places it in the context of end-time signs and deception. With both views sitting side by side, the question isn't just what the light is, it's which explanation you choose to trust. One thing is certain: That pillar of light didn't show up just to be forgotten. It left behind an empty, uneasy feeling, like a message that hasn't been fully figured out yet. If one day this beam doesn't just stand still but actually calls down something from the heavens, will it be a technology breakthrough or the start of a worldwide illusion that humanity isn't ready to face? 7. Mysterious object shining like a star hanging in the sky. Everything looks so calm and peaceful that it almost tricks you. Up against the quiet mountain sky, there's this one bright point just sitting there, like all the other stars. No movement, no fuss, making the whole scene seem so ordinary you'd easily miss it. That normal feeling lasts just long enough that nobody suspects in a few seconds the usual order is about to get broken. When the camera zooms in, that star isn't some faraway fuzzy dot anymore. You can clearly see a metallic surface sparkling, reflecting light in hard, cold patches, very different from the soft, natural glow of real heavenly bodies. For a moment, the thing just hangs motionless in mid-air, then, poof, it disappears instantly. No streak of light, no falling path, just an empty sky and this strange, empty feeling you can't quite name. This was caught high up in the mountains, where the air is thin and you can see forever. Similar reports have come from places like Mexico, near Sierra Negra, those metallic orbs. The height and isolation make the whole thing feel even more mysterious, like the sky picks quiet, lonely spots to show something not meant for big crowds. The object was estimated to be about 50 feet across, with uneven metallic shine, bright 1 second, then dimming like it was breathing. It didn't move like anything normal, and when it vanished, it left no physical trace at all. You get this uneasy feeling when something that looks like a star in the sky turns out to have a metal structure and just wipes itself off the heavens in a blink. Luke 21:25 says it plain. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be worried and confused by the roaring of the sea and waves. Those words hit different when a star stops acting like a star. Confusion is just the natural human response to something way beyond what we understand. Matthew 24-29 warns further. Right after those days of trouble, the sun will go dark, the moon won't give light, stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. A fake star appearing, then vanishing without a trace, makes you feel like something up there is being shaken, even if just for a short moment. Some folks say it's only a lens reflection or some rare optical effect, but the instant disappearance, no gradual fading, makes that explanation pretty hard to buy. Similar reports from mountains in Bulgaria described metallic objects glowing bright, then just turning off, like they were pulled out of the sky, leaving the same big question hanging. Whatever you call it, this kind of thing doesn't show up to make us feel comfortable. It's more like a quiet but chilly reminder. Not every light in the sky is a real star. If that star comes back, will it just hang there quietly all alone? Or will it bring a whole formation hiding behind the dark? 8. Mysterious, glowing orbs floating scattered across the London sky. That night, the London sky was unusually quiet. No strong wind, no sirens, just these points of light appearing far away and slowly drifting closer. The stillness could easily make you drop your guard, and right in that seemingly harmless moment, you could clearly feel a growing unease as you realized the sky was changing. From different parts of the city, dozens of glowing orbs began dropping lower, moving together in perfect sync, like a fleet programmed with precision. They didn't dive or shake, just glided smoothly through the air, then one by one disappeared, leaving a cold, empty space above. That rhythm felt cold and emotionless, as if some strange order was quietly running right over our heads. The first reports came from the Bethnal Green area, then quickly spread to nearby neighborhoods. That part of the city isn't far from Rendlesham Forest, about 80 miles away, where mysterious lights have been showing up and causing arguments for decades. The geographic connection made it hard for many people to see this as just random events. Each orb was estimated to be around 20 feet across, with steady light no flickering, no trail behind them. They descended in a clear formation, then slowly faded out, almost like they were being called back from the sky. No sound, no shockwave, just a heavy feeling of emptiness that left many people standing there in long, stunned silence. Acts 2:19 says, "I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and clouds of smoke." This Bible verse often comes up when unexplained things appear in the sky, because it places those high-up signs in the context of a wake-up call, not something random or meaningless. Online, people quickly split into opposing opinions. Some said it was just a large drone light show. Others thought maybe a rare atmospheric event. But civilian radar reportedly picked up no matching flying objects, so the technical explanations didn't feel very convincing. With Britain's long history of sightings already so thick, the debate only grew hotter. Revelation 16:14 gives a stronger warning. They are demonic spirits that perform signs, and they go out to the kings of the whole world to gather them for battle on the great day of God Almighty. When you read about these orbs in light of that verse, many people started seeing them not just as objects, but as signs of deception and an invisible gathering of power. No matter how you explain it, that synchronized descent of orbs didn't feel safe at all. It felt more like a cold announcement than any kind of show. If one day those orbs don't just vanish in the sky but actually touch the ground, will that be our first real contact? Or the beginning of something humanity has never been ready to face? 9. Mysterious signs in the sky. One ordinary afternoon in Austin, Texas, the sky suddenly showed something nobody expected. Clouds, just hanging there, perfectly still, lined up like numbers. They were so clear that the people below went completely quiet. These weren't drifting clouds. They didn't fade, didn't change shape. They just stayed frozen in place, like someone had carefully put them right where they wanted. The setting made it feel even heavier. Austin is the tech and culture heart of Texas, a place where you sometimes see rare sky things like fall streak holes or strange-shaped clouds people talk about. But this was different, way different. The cloud letters stretched almost a mile across, in American measure, super sharp, and stayed perfectly still for a long time, like a giant billboard hanging way up in the air. The mystery quickly turned into tension. No strong wind, no wild movement, just an eerie silence covering everything. The shape didn't look random at all, and it sure didn't feel like nature playing a little joke. For a moment, you can't help but wonder, if the sky can write like that, who exactly is the message for? Joel 2:31 says it plain. The sun will turn dark, and the moon will become red like blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes. When strange shapes blocked the light up above, the darkness wasn't just something you saw. It sank right into your mind, like those old words were stepping off the page into real life. Weather experts tried explaining it with rare weather patterns, but even they admitted how perfectly shaped it would be almost impossible to happen again. No big arguments, just the plain truth left behind. Nature almost never makes such clear letters across a huge, quiet space like that. Revelation 6:12 records, I watched as the Lamb opened the sixth seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth, and the whole moon became like blood. The clouds that covered the Austin sky that day weren't just water vapor. They felt like a dark curtain, bringing back the exact picture described thousands of years ago. The message became impossible to miss. The warning wasn't just spoken. It was placed right up in the sky, where nobody could pretend they didn't see it. When those signs appeared like a quiet countdown, the question stopped being, is this real? And turned into, how much time is left? And if that countdown reaches the end, what exactly is waiting behind that peaceful-looking sky? 10. An angel with huge wings spread wide flying across the sky. It was a holy moment that made the whole sky seem to grow quiet. From way up in the hazy air, a golden stream of light shaped like wings appeared and slowly came down. So slowly, it felt like time itself had stopped. Have you ever felt your heart just sink a little When that kind of light opens up a feeling words can't really explain, there's no fixed place to point to, just scattered reports of winged objects in the sky, seen several times in Queensland, Australia, where strange, structured glowing lights have shown up more than once. Those sightings weren't loud or showy. They quietly left a mark in the memory of the people who saw them, like a soft whisper from somewhere high above. The shape was described clearly: 2 long wings, about 100 feet across, using American measurements, spread out evenly, giving off a warm golden glow. The light didn't flash or flicker wildly. It spread out nice and steady, coming straight down, feeling very purposeful, like it was heading to a spot already chosen long ago. Isaiah 6:2 says, "Above him were seraphim, each having 6 wings. With 2 they covered their face, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they flew." The picture of wings and movement in the middle of the sky doesn't feel like some vague symbol anymore. It seems to step right out of that ancient description, wearing today's light. A deep calm spread as the glowing stream kept coming lower. No loud boom, no trail of smoke, just a silent presence that made the sky feel deeper than before. People have mentioned things like glowing mist or ball lightning, but the steady path and intentional movement in the reports make those explanations feel pretty weak. Revelation 14:6 says, "Then I saw another angel flying in mid-heaven, having the eternal gospel to proclaim to those who live on the earth, to every nation, tribe, language, and people." When a winged light flies in the middle of the sky, the idea of a messenger doesn't feel far away anymore. It rises up like a final announcement, spoken right through the heavens. No need to argue about it. This isn't just something you see with your eyes. That light forces people to face the possibility that the spiritual world is showing itself. Either a true angel sent here, or a dark power allowed to appear at this decisive moment. And as that glowing stream keeps coming lower, one question just hangs there between heaven and earth. If it actually touches the ground, will that moment mark the hour of judgment that was set from the very beginning? Here are 10 signs that have appeared one after another. They're not separate or random. They're connected, like links in a chain that's slowly closing into a full circle. From fire, water, darkness, and light, to quiet movements up in the sky, they all come together into one big picture. It's no longer just chance. It's a serious reminder, gently but firmly urging our souls to turn back to what really matters, the things we've forgotten. The Bible warned us very clearly in Luke 21:11. There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events and great signs from heaven. When you put these 10 signs side by side, the meaning isn't in any single one. It's in how fast and steady they're coming, like someone knocking harder and harder on the door in the middle of the night. There's this mixed feeling that's hard to name. Hope tangled up with a heavy warning. Hope, because signs like these always come with a call to turn back. Warning, because time doesn't wait. Joel 2:12 says, "Even now, declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning." That call isn't for strangers far away. It reaches every heart that's still willing to listen. What I've shared here isn't meant to scare anyone. It's meant to wake us up. Being awake doesn't start with panic. It starts with turning back to God, praying, and holding tight to faith in a world that's getting more and more confusing. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world." Once we see what the real battle is, the way to stand strong starts to become clear. In this closing moment, here's a gentle but heartfelt invitation. Let's wake up together. Take time to pray. Let faith be the solid ground we stand on. If a prayer rises in your heart right now, feel free to leave it in the comments, or just share your honest thoughts. Every voice is like a small light shining in a long night. And please show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel, so you won't miss any message that comes from above. That connection isn't just buttons to click, It's how we keep the flame of being awake, burning bright, together. Finally, thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who's listened all the way to this point. I'm praying for you and your family, that you'll stay safe and protected from the dark forces in these times, so close to the end. And as the sky keeps changing, one question still whispers quietly, but without stopping. The sky is speaking. Are you ready to listen yet? Amen.
And warned Mexico to get its act
of the drugs coming in by water.
Of farmland and national.
Do you feel something slipping out of control? Or do you still believe everything will somehow work itself out? Early 2026 didn't open with hope. It opened with chaos. Storm after storm. Wildfires swallowing forests. Oceans roaring and pulling people under. Strange colors in the sky. And human power crashing together like red-hot sheets of steel. Time feels shorter. The future looks blurrier. And any sense of safety is being torn apart, piece by piece. 10 events coming one right after another. Not random, not separate, but linked like urgent warning beats. From earthquakes and skies turning strange, to tension spreading across borders, they all come together into one cold message. This isn't just chance anymore. It's a serious reminder being sent down because humanity has gone too far. Before we go deeper and start pulling back the curtains of truth, please don't forget to leave a prayer in the comments to show your faith before God, okay? And now we won't have to wait long. Let's just go straight to it. 1. Strange tornado in Wellfleet, Nebraska, like a rope coming down from the sky. A huge rope suddenly drops straight from the sky to the ground, twisting the air tight and tearing the horizon apart. And you're seeing it in the raw video. No edits yet. No music. No voiceover. Just the wind howling and that cold chill running down your spine as the sky seems to press right down. That moment won't let you look away because what you're seeing is so direct, so real, like nature just pulled back the curtain to show its raw power. Wellfleet, Nebraska sits right in the middle of the huge sandhills, where sand stretches for thousands of square miles, and hot and cold air keep crashing into each other. This area is used to supercells, where winds can go over 200 miles an hour, knocking down trees and ripping power lines apart in just minutes. But this time, what shows up in the video doesn't look like a regular tornado. It forms slowly, stretching down from the clouds to the ground like a dark rope, hanging there for a bit before suddenly tightening its grip on the land below. As the clip goes on, the tornado screeches like metal being bent, picks up dry sand, turns it to mud, and throws it high into the air. For a second, it weakens, almost falls apart, then just a few seconds later it comes roaring back, stronger and sharper, like something gave it new life. The person filming is only a few yards from the core, close enough to hear that piercing hiss and the hailstones banging around everywhere. Luke 21:11 says, "There will be great signs from heaven." And this picture puts a heavy period right there on that verse. From another angle, the tornado's shape is clear, a long cone like a giant trumpet pointed straight down at the plains. It even splits into twin funnels for a moment before coming back together. Storm chasers have noted these rare landspout twins, making the whole scene look like the sky is sending some kind of signal in its own way. Matthew 24:7 talks about earthquakes and upheavals in various places, and here, that line between earth and sky doesn't seem so clear anymore. Of course, some folks say this is just the usual extreme Midwest weather, a chain of physics that meteorology can explain. But the video shows what makes a lot of people pause. The strange way the tornado comes back to life, dies down, then flares up again, against what you'd normally expect. Revelation 16:18 talks about shakes like nothing seen since people have been on the earth. And this image plants a feeling in your mind that's really hard to shake off. If one rope has been let down from the sky in Nebraska, bringing fear and a heavy silence with it, what happens when more ropes start showing up in other places around the world? 2. Trump warns Mexico. World tension rises. One comment from Donald Trump suddenly put the over 1,900-mile US-Mexico border right in the center of global attention. No troops are moving, no bombs are falling. But that single message was enough to make markets react. Capitals watch closely, and you can feel the heavy mood in every new headline that keeps coming. This warning comes at a time when the southern U.S. border is already stretched tight. The whole stretch from Texas to California has long been controlled by cartels that act more and more like paramilitary forces. They run territory, smuggling routes, and huge amounts of money. Recent reports on social media and news sites say these groups are now using scout drones, even ones carrying explosives, making the security problem go way beyond regular law enforcement. In a public interview that was broadcast openly, Trump mentioned the possibility of direct strikes inside Mexico as a tough way to stop the drugs. He didn't say it like a declaration of war, but the words were clear enough to start a chain reaction. Mexico stayed quiet. Diplomats are carefully weighing every statement. And analysts are warning that even a small misstep could shake the whole region. Matthew 24:6 says, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place," reminding us that sometimes just the rumors themselves are enough to plant seeds of fear. As the news spread, people online quickly split into two sides. Some strongly support the tough approach, saying only military pressure can break the cross-border crime networks. Others worry the consequences could get out of control, warning that any action might lead to regional conflict and worldwide effects. In the middle of all this argument, one shared fear stands out clearly: how fragile peace really is when big decisions sit on the table of power. Deeper reports take the story beyond just the two countries. They point to international powers influencing food supply chains, farming technology, and water resources, turning this border into one small piece of a much bigger global power picture. Luke 21:25 talks about turmoil that makes nations distressed, and today's situation gives those words extra weight. When a warning comes from the center of power, it's rarely just words. If this hotspot really gets triggered, could it be the sign of a larger chain of clashes waiting ahead, reaching far beyond the U.S. Mexico line and spreading across the world? 3. The penitential procession in the Philippines. In the middle of all the non-stop news about wars, natural disasters, and uncertainty, there are quiet moments that just make you slow down and feel something. Not explosions, not political warnings, just the sight of people walking silently in prayer. In a far corner of Asia, right in the middle of busy everyday life, something gentle is happening. It's like a reminder that faith is still here, steady and unbroken. In Cebu City, Philippines, where the Catholic faith has been part of life for hundreds of years, Fiesta Señor has come again. From Fuente Osmeña Circle to the Basilica Minore del Sto, Niño, long lines of people stretch on and on. No banners, no slogans, just bare feet walking. The statue of the child Jesus carried with care, and soft prayers mixing with the sound of church bells. In a world that's changing so fast, this scene stands out strongly, like a peaceful oasis in the middle of chaos. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still, and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." That big, shared silence makes those words feel alive and real. This penitential procession isn't some kind of show. It's a journey of the heart. More than 240,000 people walk together, carrying their sorrow for sin, their hope, and their wish to start fresh. When the statue of Jesus is carried through those familiar streets, it almost feels like he's walking among us, touching the real, everyday lives of ordinary people. Do you see it? In that moment, faith stops being just an idea. It becomes something you can actually see and feel with your eyes and your heartbeat. Among the huge crowd, a holy feeling covers the whole city. Prayers rise up alongside the noise of traffic, creating this strange, beautiful mix of the sacred and the everyday. Acts 2:17 talks about God pouring out His Spirit on all people, and right here, those words don't feel like ancient history anymore. They're happening now, under this Asian sky full of wind and light. The event opens up something deeper too. When the gospel is shared not just with words, but through the living faith of so many people together, it becomes a powerful witness in these troubled times. Matthew 24:14 says, "This gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations." This procession feels like a quiet, steady flame, burning strong even against the fierce winds of the world. If, in all this global chaos, faith is still strong enough to bring hundreds of thousands of people together in repentance and prayer, what might be getting ready to happen next? And if he is present, quietly but clearly, is it just a gentle reminder or a sign that something much bigger is coming soon? 4. Discovery of a 1,700-year-old Bible scroll. In the middle of our fast-moving digital age, there are moments that make us slow down, not because of some loud alarm, but because of a quiet discovery that carries a sense of the sacred. Out of the dust and ashes of history, an ancient witness suddenly steps into the light, as if time itself has just opened a door that's been sealed for centuries. In En-Gedi, Israel, a place where ancient Jewish communities once lived, a scroll of the Bible, covered in sand and dirt, was brought back to the research table. Using a technology called virtually unwrapped, scientists could read the text without even touching it. Some well-known websites reported that the words came through surprisingly clear. Even though the surface was badly damaged, the text from the book of Leviticus stayed completely intact, giving off a deep sense of reverence that's hard to put into words. This scroll is estimated to be about 1,700 years old. It was buried and forgotten since the 1,970 seconds, but only recently has it been fully read and understood. What amazed scholars wasn't just how accurate the text was, but how closely it matched the Bible we have today. Matthew 24-35 says, "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away." This discovery makes those words feel like a timeless testimony. In a world where everything seems to have an expiration date, this ancient Bible scroll stands as a symbol of faith that never wears out. The letters are still there. The meaning is still there, despite fire, ash, and thousands of years. Isaiah 40:8 says, "The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God stands forever." The very existence of this scroll makes that prophecy feel real and alive. But what stops many people in their tracks isn't only the archaeological value. Why is something this precious being read and revealed right now, when the world is full of unrest, wars, and a crisis of faith? Have you ever wondered, is this just a lucky find by science? Or could it be a message arranged so we remember the foundation that once guided us? Psalm 119-89 declares, "Your word, Lord, is eternal. It stands firm in the heavens." It feels like an explanation for this very moment. While every human system shakes, God's word stays steady. It doesn't need to argue or be defended. The En-Gedi discovery doesn't speak out loud, but its silence carries the weight of truth. If God's word can survive fire and time to come back at such a key moment in history, what might be waiting ahead? And are these ancient pages only reminding us of the past, or quietly opening a door to things still waiting to be revealed? 5. Wildfires in Chubut, Argentina, everything swallowed by ash and a sea of flames. The fire started without warning, so fierce that the Patagonia sky turned a thick, deep orange. Right then, we realized this wasn't just another regular disaster report. From the very first pictures, the flames rolled across the forests and mountains like a living wave, forcing us to face a chilling question: how safe are we really at the end of the day? In Chubut province, near Puerto Patriada, huge stretches of forest, tens of thousands of acres, had dried out after months of intense heat. They became perfect fuel. Strong winds blowing along the Andes made the fire race forward at a terrifying speed, jumping over natural barriers that people used to think were safe. Many news channels reported that the flames came right up to Ruta Nacional 40, forcing officials to evacuate about 3,000 people quickly, while thick smoke blocked visibility for miles. The fire didn't just destroy trees, it left behind a burned-out landscape. Ash-covered homes, fields, and roads. Areas of Chubut that used to be so green are now gray. Scorched ground stretching into Neuquén and Santa Cruz after one of the worst fire seasons on record. Luke 21:11 warned, "There will be great famines and plagues in many places, and terrifying signs and great wonders from heaven." Seeing the fire rise from the earth like that makes those words echo through the smoke. Early reports raised questions about whether people started the fire, but in all the chaos, the exact cause almost feels less important than the destruction it caused. As whole sections of forest collapse into flames, it feels like nature itself is being put on trial without words. Revelation 8-7 says, "The first angel sounded, and hail and fire mixed with blood fell to the earth, and a third of the earth was burned up." Those ancient words suddenly feel frightening when you look at the images coming out of Patagonia. What gives so many people chills is how familiar this pattern has become. Drought, high winds, fire exploding, mass evacuations. Matthew 24:7 said, "Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom." There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. It reads like a cold list of the non-stop troubles in these end times. The fire in Chubut didn't just burn trees, it burned away the idea that humans can control everything. It's a serious warning, with the flames acting like a tool of cleansing and reminder. And if wildfires like this keep spreading wider, what will the big picture look like when the line between natural disaster and judgment gets harder and harder to see? 6. 3 or 4 tornadoes formed at the same time, like trumpet horns. The sky suddenly dropped right in front of you, huge and heavy enough to take your breath away, as those black cloud columns twisted like an invisible hand was wringing them tight. That moment hit you with a mix of awe and fear, like nature had just torn open the peaceful curtain we're all used to. We stood there watching a sight that makes your heart pound when the whole horizon wasn't calm anymore. It was shaking like it might break apart. From that giant cloud, 3, then 4 tornadoes spun up almost at once, dropping down onto the green plains fields. The funnels swirled together, pulling dust and debris way up high, looking like giant organ pipes shooting straight down from heaven. In the video footage, you can really feel how small and fragile we are facing that kind of unstoppable force. Meteorologists call this a rare multi-vortex setup, several smaller spins turning inside one main core, which makes the damage even worse. Winds in these things can top 200 miles an hour, strong enough to yank big trees out by the roots and tear buildings apart in just minutes. Warnings kept coming one after another, pointing out that weather is getting tougher to predict as tornado conditions stack up faster and stranger than before. With the wind screaming and the ground shaking, that scene brings to mind Revelation 8-6, and the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound, like the sky was getting ready to blow a signal that's been warned about for a long time. It's not a final answer, just a cold little hint that sets up the feeling these movements up above aren't only about physics. Experts keep saying we're in a new era of extreme weather, where big tornado outbreaks come in bunches instead of one by one. There's more energy in the atmosphere now, so storms organize easier, and when they hit, the destruction often goes way beyond what we used to see as normal. Then 1 Thessalonians 4:16 adds another layer. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of God. And those words make those spinning funnels feel far from empty. As the tornadoes finally faded away, the ground was left with long, ugly scars, and the sky went quiet in a nervous kind of way. Matthew 24:31 says, "He will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, like a picture of gathering people together, calling them in, waking them up." What just happened doesn't explain everything, but it sure leaves you feeling like a signal just went out. If 3 or 4 trumpets can sound all at once in one spot, what's going to happen when other skies start answering back? 7. Pink sky and snow in Birmingham, UK. Birmingham slipped into night like any other evening, but the sky above the city turned a strange shade of pink, coloring everything and leaving folks with an odd, uneasy feeling. The light wasn't bright and flashy like usual. It was soft, quiet, almost like a curtain slowly coming down. In that moment, the familiar modern city suddenly felt far away and strange. This happened in the West Midlands, when Storm Goretti brought rare heavy snow that blanketed Birmingham in white. Some popular websites explained that the city's LED lights reflected off the low clouds, creating this neon pink glow that covered the whole sky. The thick falling snow made the pink spread even more, turning the streets into a scene that was stunningly beautiful and a little unsettling at the same time. Instead of the usual deep black of a winter night, the sky looked like something from a dream, unreal, with snow drifting down quietly through that unnatural pink. Videos going around showed the whole city bathed in this weird light, making people wonder if it was just a trick of the eye or something more. Right after the pictures spread, folks online started arguing a lot. Some said it was just light pollution mixing with rare weather, something physics can easily explain. Others saw the pink as a strange sign, especially with snow and light appearing right when the world feels so unsettled, and the timing made them nervous. Luke 21:25 says, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea." Reading that next to Birmingham's sky, the pink isn't just a color anymore. It feels like something to think about. It doesn't force a meaning, but it opens up different ways to see it. Joel 2:30 talks about, "I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and billows of smoke," like an old explanation for strange things happening up high. Acts 2:19 goes on, "I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below," so that pink sky starts looking like a message with layers of meaning depending on how people take it. Even if science can explain how the light worked, that uneasy feeling doesn't just go away. The sky changed color right in front of millions of people, and it made us look up longer than we usually do. If more strange colors keep showing up in skies around the world, is it just random lights from below, or the start of something bigger waiting ahead? 8. Strange object hovering in the Australian sky. Australia's sky, usually full of sudden sun and wind, suddenly had this dark patch just hanging there. It wasn't moving much, didn't glow, and didn't fade away like regular clouds do. The shape felt kind of mysterious and made people wonder, like something was just stuck up there in the middle of the air. When you watch the video, it's hard not to feel like you're seeing something no one has really named before. People spotted this thing in different parts of the Australian sky, especially in Queensland and New South Wales, places that have had UFO or UAP reports in the past. Some folks compared it to the trail from a rocket, but the big difference is this one's deep black and just stays still, not moving or changing. In the video that's going around, the object looks like a half-dissolved cloud with fuzzy edges, really dark against the white clouds behind it. It doesn't fall, doesn't drift fast with the wind, and makes no sound or give off any special light. We're looking at something that's tough to explain, where normal everyday logic kind of stops working. Some people think it's just a rare weather thing, maybe tied to unusual humidity or air pressure. Others connect it to UAP sightings in Midwest Western Australia, where strange objects had that same blurry shape, slow movement, and no clear man-made signs. The real tension isn't in picking one answer. It's that none of the usual explanations quite convince everybody. Luke 21:11 once said, "There will be fearful sights and great signs from heaven." Those words open the door to the idea that the sky isn't always just a quiet backdrop. When you put this sighting next to that verse, the unclear feeling becomes more like a hint than a firm statement. It doesn't say exactly what's coming, but it reminds us that strange signs can show up out of nowhere. Matthew 24:29 goes on, "The sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken." Even though this object isn't a star or the sun, its odd presence still makes the sky feel disturbed, like the usual order is being gently but noticeably shaken. Ezekiel 1-4 describes, "I looked, and there before me was a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light." It's an old picture of something coming from above that people can only watch, not control. The thing over Australia doesn't match perfectly, but it brings up a similar feeling, a sign that hasn't been given a name yet. This event doesn't come with a final answer. It just leaves a heavy quiet in our minds. As more of these objects show up, the question isn't really what they are anymore. It's why the sky keeps sending down images that make us look up and wonder about ourselves. If this is just the beginning, how far beyond our ability to name them will the next strange signs go? 9. The waves out at sea are getting bigger and stranger, crashing onto the land and sweeping that girl away. As the afternoon light slowly faded along the horizon, the ocean suddenly changed color, like it took one long, deep breath before unleashing something terrible. The roar hit you right in the chest, the wind howled, and in just a second, that safe feeling we're all used to was gone. No warning, no siren, just a cold fear rushing through every breath. Security cameras caught that moment on an Arabian beach, where this freak wave rose way higher than the water around it. It didn't roll in like a normal tide. It shot straight up, stood tall, then slammed down like an invisible punch. A girl standing too close to the edge got snatched away. Her small body rocked back and forth in the white foam, her cries swallowed up by the roaring sea. The next frame turns chaotic. Swirling water stretches out dozens of feet, Sand and rocks lifted like they weigh nothing. People nearby just freeze. No one has time to react. You see it, don't you? One wrong step, one bad spot, and the line between standing safe and disappearing completely is so thin that helpless feeling spreads fast. Because against that kind of power, everything we plan or think just feels tiny. Experts later explained that these extra high waves aren't rare anymore. Warmer oceans, changing air pressure, shifts in the seafloor, they all trap wave energy, then release it suddenly. The numbers show extreme waves are happening more often in recent years, almost like the sea is building up something it hasn't let out yet. Luke 21:25 described it so clearly. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. Reading those words now, the ocean isn't just scenery anymore. It becomes a voice asking hard questions, showing how fragile the order we thought we controlled really is. These waves don't just hit the shore, they hit our shared sense of safety. Psalm 93:4 keeps ringing out like a reminder. Mightier than the thunder of the great waters, mightier than the breakers of the sea. The Lord on high is mighty. The wild power of the water is put side by side with God's ultimate authority, as if to say, there are limits we can't cross. When the sea gets angry, it's not just an accident. It's a revealing of a shaken moral order. And then, Revelation 21:1 opens a sobering picture. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. If the sea, the symbol of chaos, can one day be gone, maybe today's waves are just warning signs. When one wave can sweep a life away in a heartbeat, the question still hangs there. What happens if the whole world stands in front of that rising water? 10. Strange object floating above the clouds. Up there in that quiet height, with the engines humming steady, one sight suddenly makes your heart slow down. Right outside the window, something not part of the usual sky is drifting along beside the plane. Pure white, so bright it almost makes the light feel shy. Have you ever wondered why sometimes just one image can make your heart feel heavy, like a very old memory just brushed against you? From the cabin of a regular flight, the object becomes clearer as the clouds part. It stands straight up, long and slender, like an upside-down candle. No flashing, no color change, just holding the same steady distance from the plane. For those few seconds that feel like forever, a wave of nostalgia rises up, as if you're seeing something you once heard about long ago, now suddenly back again. Lots of folks are quick to put a name on it: weather balloon, shadow, optical illusion, or some light streak in thick clouds. But this thing isn't drifting free. It moves at the same speed, same direction, almost like it's traveling with us on purpose. Try putting yourself in that moment and see how thin all the explanations feel when you're touched by something holy you can't quite name. Luke 21:27 once recorded an image that has made generations stop and think. Then people will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with great power and glory. Reading that verse again with wide open sky and clouds all around, the picture doesn't stay on the page anymore. It steps out of our shared memory and hangs right there in front of your eyes. Daniel 7:13 carries the vision further with these ancient words. In my vision at night I looked, and there before me was one like a son of man, coming with the clouds of heaven. The clouds are no longer just weather, they become the stage for the final things, where the line between this world and eternity starts to fade. And then, Revelation 1-7 closes it with a statement you can't avoid. Look, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, and all the peoples of the earth will mourn because of him. When those words ring out, all the doubt slowly quiets down, making room for a straight, honest facing of something no one can turn away from. People may keep arguing, keep trying to name the sighting with safe, familiar terms, but sometimes what matters isn't what it is, it's what it wakes up inside your heart. If that image makes you slow down, makes you think more about faith and about coming home, then maybe it has already done its deepest work. Before you leave this moment, please leave a short prayer in the comments below. Nothing fancy, just honest and real. Because who knows, maybe that quiet and those simple whispered words are the clearest way to answer the last sign the sky has just opened up to show us. Here are 10 signs that have passed, like 10 deep drum beats echoing across the same sky. From fierce acts of nature skies changing color, strange objects appearing, to oceans raging and the heavens torn open by images hard to name. None of these stand alone. When you step back and look at the whole picture, those pieces slowly come together into one clear message. Heaven, earth, and mankind are all being shaken at this very special moment in time. When you place this chain of events alongside the big picture in the Bible, their meaning becomes very clear. Matthew 24:6-8 warned us plainly, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. All these are the beginning of birth pains." What we've seen isn't the final climax. It's more like alarm bells ringing again and again, urging all of us to stop and think about where we stand before our Creator. These signs are becoming more and more open. They're no longer hidden in dark corners or passed around in whispers. Luke 21:28 puts it straight. When these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. The way these unusual events keep coming faster and stronger tells us the warning is no longer far off in the future. It's knocking at the door every single day. In light of all this, what really matters isn't arguing about what's right or wrong. It's the condition of our hearts. You might want to quietly ask yourself, where do I stand as these signs keep coming one after another? Acts 3:19 gently reminds us, "Repent then, and turn to God, so that your sins may be wiped out." Waking up, turning back, and holding fast to faith isn't about being afraid. It's the wise choice of someone who understands what lasts forever. In this quiet moment, I invite you to leave a short prayer or a sincere thought from your heart in the comments below. James 5:16 tells us, "The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective." Even one simple sentence can be a real sign of coming back and joining together in faith. If these words touch you, please like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next reminder. Hebrews 10:25 encourages us, encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. Sharing isn't meant to scare anyone. It's to help more people wake up. Finally, thank you so much for staying with me to the very last line. May the blessing of Numbers 6:24-26 rest on you and your family. The Lord bless you and keep you and give you peace. May we all be held safe in the loving arms of God. Amen. Why, in just a short moment, did the whole world suddenly slip off its familiar track? The first days of the year started with fierce fires spreading through cities, the sky twisting into strange hanging shapes, weird lights piercing the night, the sun doubling or tripling up in the clouds, shadowy figures appearing far out at sea, winged creatures shooting up from deep forests, glowing orbs lurking in the dark, and objects with no explanation cutting across the sky. It all hit at once, giving people no time to adjust. All over the globe, order started to fall apart. Crowds poured into the streets to pray together, and nature reacted like it was being pushed too hard. We have to ask ourselves, is this just a string of random events? Or is it a message being sent in ways we can't ignore? We'll go through each of these signs, one by one. And right now, let's say a prayer that humanity wakes up in time, so peace doesn't completely slip away. And now, you won't have to wait long. We're going to start right away with 1. The flames of judgment burning Los Angeles. A feeling of unease spread quickly, not loud, but gripping your chest tight, like the familiar ground had just shifted off its normal path. You might not be standing right in the fire, but the world's breathing is changing, and the peace we once took for granted is starting to crack. No one ordered panic, but that quiet worry creeps in, signaling something has gone beyond the usual cycles. In the Los Angeles area, where the Santa Monica and San Gabriel Hills were once seen as natural shields, the Santa Ana winds shifted direction and picked up speed as if pushed hard. Neighborhoods on the hills from Pacific Palisades to Malibu, and then Altadena got swept into the fire's swirl, one after another. Evacuation routes jammed solid, and the sky turned a hazy orange that lasted for days. That sense of helplessness spread as people realized there was no buffer left between them and the heat closing in. The fire didn't spread slowly. It rushed like a wave, swallowing homes, schools, hospitals, and whole neighborhoods that were thought to be the safest. According to mainstream reports, the fires burned over 35,000 acres, destroyed more than 16,000 structures, and took at least 30 lives, with damage numbers still being updated in the days that followed. Thick smoke columns rose thousands of feet high, blocking the sun and creating a scene that put the whole city under a giant lid of destruction. In that setting, the Bible doesn't come across as comfort, but as a warning bell. Revelation 8-7 wrote ahead about the start of the destruction. The first angel sounded his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood, and it was hurled down on the earth. A third of the earth was burned up, a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up. The image of fire pouring down from above is no longer some distant symbol. It mirrors directly the burning city scenes. It doesn't stop there. Revelation 16-8 goes on to describe an even fiercer stage. The fourth angel poured out his bowl on the sun, and the sun was allowed to scorch people with fire. As temperatures soared, dry winds howled through every alley, and daylight felt stifling. That warning rings out like a grim guide to what's happening. Some say it's all just the familiar result of long droughts and seasonal strong winds, a pattern that's repeated in California's history. But the level of destruction, the speed of spread, and the heavy impact on densely built urban areas make that explanation less convincing compared to past events. When the fire crosses natural boundaries and digs deep into human life, the warning message gets clearer than ever. If this is just the first wave, then what lies ahead could be even worse, and no one can be sure they'll stay out of the next one. 2. Strange lightning in a mysterious face appearing on the horizon. Out on the horizon, thick clouds piled up like a living wall, and right when a bolt of lightning ripped across the sky, a shape in the clouds became so clear it took people's breath away. No need to exaggerate. The picture alone was enough to make you feel like something wasn't right was being revealed. In the Maslock area, as a storm rolled over that old urban spot by the sea, the lenticular clouds got bent by the wind into layers stacked on top of each other. A pale golden light flashed from the heart of the cloud, lighting up a structure that looked like a face with dark hollows and sharp, cold lines, along with heavy thunder echoing between the tall buildings. A creepy feeling spread around, and you can see why just a short video was enough to make thousands of people stop and stare at their screens. Right after that, social media and the news were full of all kinds of opinions. Some folks swore they could clearly see a face rising up from the storm, like the sky was shaping it on purpose to send a message. On the other hand, plenty said it was just the usual pareidolia effect, where people assign meaning to random clouds, and calling a weather event spiritual was a sign of group fanaticism. What do you think? Where's the line between plain observation and belief in a moment like that? In the middle of all that debate, the Bible got brought up not as a final answer, but as something to think about. Matthew 24-27 once described an appearance full of light and speed. For just as lightning flashes from the east and shines as far as the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. When you put those words next to the image of lightning tearing the sky and light spreading across the cloud layers, a lot of people couldn't help thinking of a sign that had been foretold long ago. Another verse, Luke 10:18, talks about the fall of dark power. He said to them, "I saw Satan fall from heaven like lightning." In the context of a distorted face showing up amid thunder and lightning, this scripture makes quite a few people believe the flash of light wasn't random, but a picture of an invisible battle going on up above. One thing's for sure, that image touched a deep fear in people, where reason and gut feeling clash. Whether explained by science or seen through the eyes of faith, the moment the sky seemed to speak still leaves a lasting echo. And as the storm cleared away, the question hangs in the air. If this is just the first clear sign we've seen, what will come next? How will it show up? And will we recognize it in time before darkness closes in? 3. People take to the streets with the slogan, "God saves." Joy spreads as the streets